Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Where is Your Stop? It's September 17th, 2014. And in our newsletter, The Hawking Perspective, last week we talked about there was a news announcement that talked about, now is the time to buy gold and bonds. And so we just wanted to explore that idea here today. Obviously in relation to what's going on in the market and the world at the same time. If we take a look at gold, just from a very long-term practical perspective, obviously, this huge major down route that we had at the end of 2012 into 13 and 14, that really has been broken here, and now we've seen the momentum begin to, on the downside, decline. That pace decline a little bit. Just trying to draw you some perspective on that. Of course, gold has been trying to find that floor around that 1200 level, which is kind of logical in terms of where all that liquidity is. But for anybody that's been looking at trade signals, obviously there's been two good shorts on the downside in here that we've had, but there has been two long whipsaws on the outside for anybody that's gotten into those. So really, whether or not gold is a buy, wouldn't want to be a bottom hunter in here, would really want to confirm. Most likely that confirmation is going to come out of strength in terms of price, volume, and volatility on the upside, probably above that 1250 mark somewhere. But that's merely just a guess. That's all that we can do until we actually get a real signal. Otherwise, you could see gold continue to react to what we are looking at this week in terms of the Fed announcement. Obviously, everybody had talked about, hey, let's, people should be buying bonds right now. So if we look at the BND, the Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF, this kind of gives a perspective of, hey, what has been going on. And certainly enough, we actually, back here in July of 2013, got our first signal. And we've been progressively moving up. Our stop right in here right now, that trailing stop is essentially right here at that 81 mark. And so, this has been a move that has continued to create higher highs and higher lows. Obviously going to want to keep track of that 8150 level. Makes sense going into the Fed announcement that they're going to want to test that to see what's going to happen. But this has been a play that's been in place for a while now. So for people to be making a news story about it now seems to be a little Johnny-come-lately. But with that being said, with obviously there being buying pressure in the market on the total bond, let's take a look though at just something that can give us a little bit of perspective in terms of the TIP. The TIP is the iShares Barclays Treasury Inflation Protected Securities Fund. Now, here's kind of the key of what we want to look at in terms of coinciding with the market is that, yes, from a short to medium term perspective, we broke out of what was happening here in late 2013, and we continue to kind of hold this area right in here. But the key though is that if the Fed was really doing their job and inflation was a worry, we should not be seeing this route as of late over the past 2 months to the downside. And the reason why I bring that up is because if we look at the commodities arena, we can really see that commodities across the basket, especially over the past few months, have really been getting worked to the downside. Obviously, there's no fundamental news to be supporting this right now, which means that traders are really trying to take into account the fact that it is deflation that is the worry for the Fed right now, not inflation. Of course, the truth is it's all hindsight. You don't know until after it's happened, which is why you got to take the trends as they occur and the signals. But it's important to look at these news announcements in the context of the interconnected global market and what's going on. So we look forward to any questions that you guys have, as well as comments. Hit us out with anything that you want us to look at. Here's to beating random and staying outside the noise. We look forward to talking with you next week.